There are, at this point, or at this moment, 80 different autoimmune illnesses that are known. And there are 50 million Americans diagnosed with at least one autoimmune illnesses. Many people, once they're diagnosed with one autoimmune illness, continue on to have additional diagnoses of different autoimmune illnesses. Why should those numbers concern us? Well, just so we can put these numbers in perspective, there are about 15 million Americans who battle heart disease, coronary circulatory issues, anything related with the heart. There are about 20 million who suffer diabetes, who have been diagnosed with diabetes. So 15 million heart disease, 20 million diabetes, 50 million autoimmune illnesses. I would say that's something to be concerned about. How do I avoid autoimmune illnesses, if at all possible? How do I not set myself up to be part of these statistics? What are autoimmune illnesses? Simply put, an autoimmune illness is an illness where your immune system, instead of being perceived as helping you, seems to go in and attack tissues in your body. And depending on which tissue it attacks, you will be diagnosed with X autoimmune illness, whatever it is. Now, autoimmune illnesses are very similar. So sometimes the diagnosis to get the appropriate autoimmune illness diagnosed in people takes years. Some people could have been battling an autoimmune illness for 5 years or more before they're actually diagnosed with the appropriate one. So there are markers that identify that we have an autoimmune illness, but then in order to ascertain which autoimmune illness it is we have, there are other symptoms that have to be identified. No matter how you look at it, the point is, when there is an autoimmune illness, my immune system, seen by the perspective of the medical profession, is attacking my tissues. Now, why would my immune system do that? My immune system is designed to protect me. It's designed to help me avoid bacteria and viruses. It's designed to attack bacteria, toxins, viruses, whenever these are present in the body. So really, an autoimmune illness is the body trying to attack these toxins and these bacteria and these viruses, which are already in the tissues, and so the immune system is attacking them. It really is still defending us. It just seems, or it is just perceived a different way. And as it attacks these tissues, of course we're going to have symptoms, and we're going to be in pain, and things aren't going to work the way they should work, because I have had lots and lots of these toxins in large areas of my body, and therefore I'm having considerable amount of symptoms and pain and discomfort. So once I understand that that is one of the things that is happening, then I'm going to be a little bit more careful with the things that I allow to come into my body. I'm going to be more careful as to whether I'm choosing a cream. I'm going to look at the ingredients and see how many chemicals are in there. I'm going to avoid things that I put on my cream, on my hand, or perfumes that I put on my body, because now I understand that these are toxins, chemicals that my body has to process, and I don't want them inside my bloodstream because it sets me up for autoimmune illnesses. It sets me up for more toxins, for more things that the immune system is going to perceive as invaders and is going to attack once it stays in my tissue. So I want to avoid those things. I also want to be very careful with stress, because stress, high levels of stress, is what sets people up for autoimmune illnesses as well. Years and years and years of stress. A person that has been go all the time. And that's why I say, even though it says, the statistics say that 50 million Americans, it doesn't mean you have to be born in the United States. You may have come from another country. If you're living in the States, you're living like Americans live. You're running around like they are. You are eating poorly like the majority are. You are not sleeping. You're turning on the light and it looks like it's broad daylight inside your house at 10 o'clock at night. So your body doesn't know when it has to sleep. Your body is constantly stressed, constantly going. So regardless of where you come from, if you live in the States, these statistics affect you. And we are prone to having these diagnoses. So what we have to understand is, if an increase in toxins in my body is going to predispose me to autoimmune illnesses, if high levels of stress are going to predispose me to that, how can I change that? How can I do things differently? So I'm going to be more careful with trying to go to sleep at the appropriate time, drinking enough water to stay hydrated. I'm going to be doing things to lower my levels of stress. And if I can't change my job, and it's what stresses me, and I can't change the way I get to work, which is driving, and the traffic stresses me, and I can't change my lifestyle because my family stresses me. I love them, but they stress me. If I can't change the things that I recognize are stressful in my life, then I'm going to understand that I lose nutrients all the time when I face the stress, and that's why it results in inflammation. And so I'm going to make sure these nutrients are placed back into my body so that my body has a response, an appropriate response to stress, and it doesn't exhaust my organs and predispose me to autoimmune illnesses. I'm going to make those changes, and I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to give my body what it needs. And that's why adaptogens, plants that are identified as adaptogens, are so important in our lives, because they will help us nutritionally and they will help us face stress. They are plants that are grown in different areas of the world where they learn to survive under circumstances that are stressful, under dry climate, under cold climate, under extreme water, under just a lot of wind, and there the adaptogen plants seem to survive. And so when I take them, now they give my body the ability to survive anything that goes on in my life, droughts, cold winters, whatever it is that might affect me, even emotionally and traumatically. So I want to consider adaptogens, and that's why you'll find videos on YouTube where I talk about adaptogens and the different ways you can bring them into your body. There's a video I have on YouTube where I talk about the primary balance package from Soul Naturals, where I talk about aromatherapy, where I talk about a product called Thrive. Those are things that I find are very important to avoid autoimmune illnesses and to feed us so that when we are exposed to all these things that could set us up for autoimmune illnesses, now I can avoid them, because now my body has the tools necessary to continue to keep me healthy or return me to health. As women, we have to be even more careful, because autoimmune illnesses are on the rise and they're affecting women more than men. That shouldn't be surprising, because as women, we do much more. Many of us don't have the word no in our vocabulary. Somebody says, hey, can you do this for me? Yes. Hey, can I ask you to do this? Yes. And sometimes, even before they ask us, we are offering. How can I help you? How can I do this? How can I do this for you? What do you need? I'm there for you. So we have had to be wives, housewives, mothers, and on top of that, we go out and work. So our titles have been so many that, and some of us even teach. So now we homeschool. So, and as time goes by, we do more and more and more. Now we become caretakers for our parents. And when our children grow up and leave home, they still come back, and that's wonderful. And we're worried about them. And if even we have a great day, our friends come and their problems become ours. So as women, our titles and the hats we wear are so many that the stress is greater in our lives. And because of it, the inflammation is greater. And when we have a lot of inflammation coming into the body, or things that cause inflammation like stress, of all these things I mentioned, our organs are going to be exhausted. They're not going to work the way it should. Inflammation causes insulin resistance. So now, what does that mean? Now hormones that our body naturally produces, our cells do not recognize because we're resistant to it. Insulin, which our body produces, we become resistant to it. And if that's a hormone, imagine all the other hormones our body is producing and how we are becoming resistant to it. Why? Because there's inflammation. Because inflammation makes this protective covering over the cells where the hormones our own bodies produce don't come into the body. The things we take to help don't come into the body, don't come into the cells, and our cells form all of our organs. So we have to be very careful, and we have to understand that these are the things that predispose us to autoimmune illnesses. So in order to avoid them, I'm going to change my eating habits, my lifestyle. Like I mentioned, try to get to bed early, drink more water, choose my foods wisely. And at the same time, I'm going to bring adaptogens in. I'm going to stay on the primary balance. Look for that video and see what that involves. I'm going to use aromatherapy. Soul Naturals has a very simple way to give it to us so that we can incorporate it quickly into our lives, because that's all we have, right? Quick moments, because we're so busy. So let these statistics actually shake you up and actually make you more aware of the fact that there are things we have to do. It isn't going to be simply luck what avoids us from having a cancer, which is an autoimmune illness, or from having any chronic degenerative illness. It is not going to be luck. It's going to be proactive work that I do. It's going to be self-care. It's going to be, I'm exercising every day. I'm taking time off for me. I'm doing 20 minutes every day of something I like. It's very important that we take care of ourselves, and that we understand that the more we do in life and the less time we think we have to do things for ourselves, the more important it is that we do things for ourselves. So if you give yourself a variety of adaptogens and they're coming into your body, you'll find that you are more successful at warding off these autoimmune illnesses. So don't ignore it. Realize that these statistics are here to stay, and as time goes on, they're only going to be higher and higher, and we want to learn to avoid it. So there are things we can do. The person who shared this video with you can help you to see what is best for you. And if you happen to come across this video on YouTube on your own, please drop me a note, and I am sure, and I will be sure to get back with you. Please remember, I'm not a doctor. I don't diagnose, prescribe, treat illnesses. I don't recommend Soul Natural products to deal with illnesses. I'm actually sharing information that I've seen helps people make wise decisions and take back control of their health. Because we've been for years putting it in the hands of others, of the medical profession, of other naturopaths. And we have to learn to empower ourselves by learning more about our body and how it works, understanding how it works, and then it will be much easier to help ourselves and to take care of ourselves, because no one will take care of ourselves the way we will. So please look at the person who gave you this video for more help if you want it, and or drop me a line.